You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
My first guest this morning is Larry Byrne, owner of St Helens Bay Golf Resort. Larry, you might start by telling me a bit about your own background, please.
I suppose I could say I'm a simple farmer's son. Whether people would believe that or not, I don't know. Educated in St Peter's College, went on to UCD, got involved in the tourism business back in the 80s. In fact, I was a teacher for a number of years and enjoyed every minute of that. But there was something in the tourism business that dragged me out of teaching and brought me to where I am now. We're, as you probably don't know, 20 years in operation in St Helens this year.
Okay, so what attracted you to St Helens specifically?
I had a business in Wexford, school and office supplies, during the 80s, which was a very successful business until Ben Dunn decided that he wanted to move into that part of Wexford. And to my great delight, I found myself with a pocket full of money that I never thought I'd ever have in my life. And I always felt that muck and land was where money should be put. So I was on a beach in, I think it was the Isle of Wight, with my family and talking to my wife, and I said, what are we going to do? And we chatted and talked about a few options, and I said, look, I think Wexford could take another golf course.
Okay, so you invested heavily at the time into developing what is now an approved Fáilte Ireland golf course. Tell me about the last 20 years on the golf course.
I started off buying a piece of land that was famous in its own right because it was owned by one of Wexford's greatest names in hurling circles, Billy Rackard. And Billy had, in fact, one of the finest par 3 golf courses in this country. And he was very proud of it and worked very hard at it. And in fact, when we came down here first, what we did was we retrieved the par 3, which had gone into a bit of disrepair, and we opened that for 2 years, and while we were preparing and planning for the main development. Originally, the development, in fact, was to be a leisure complex, and we had planning for an indoor facility with a lot of indoor activities, and golf was to be secondary in that. But I'll never forget walking into Fáilte Ireland, in fact, with Liam Griffin, and putting our case to the powers that be in Fáilte Ireland that we were going to invest in holiday homes down here in Rosslare, and basically we were laughed out the door and said, it's not Spain, it's not Portugal, you're talking about Rosslare. And as I was, a bit of luck, lots of, I think, forward thinking by some of the people who were my partners here, we ended up with building houses as fast as we could build them and selling them even faster.
There's 310 houses on the site here now today. Golf has become a very, very popular sport in Ireland over the last 20 years, but the recession certainly hasn't done it any favours. Have you noticed that yourself?
Undoubtedly, like many businesses, particularly businesses in the tourism area, we've been affected in this industry too, and it's a struggle. There's no doubt about that. Falling memberships are a part and parcel of golf courses everywhere, not only in Ireland, but I notice it a lot in the UK, where I spend a good bit of time as well. It's also the case that the race to the bottom in green fees, unfortunately, has happened, and you will find that, you know, you have golf courses offering green fees now which could not sustain a development such as a golf course, and indeed the same thing is applying to annual subscriptions as well.
And on that basis, do you think there's too many golf courses in County Wexford?
Not necessarily in County Wexford, Karl, because we were the only really new development that took place here over the whole period. Whereas if you look at our neighbouring counties like Waterford and Kilkenny and Wicklow, they would have had multiple new golf courses. And it has often, you know, been a wonder to me why Wexford, as a tourist destination, particularly so close to Dublin, that we were the only ones.
So with falling green fees and membership fees, what have you done to combat that?
We've tried to restructure the business, and we've looked at doing that in a number of ways. We're a little bit lucky in the sense that with those 310 houses, we are a bit ring-fenced, and Therefore, our bar and our food and the other amenities that we have here on site, and of course, like the greatest amenity of all is that natural one, the big bunker that we call that runs along the 17th and 18th, our beautiful beach here at St Helens Bay. We've tried with the population we have on site, and I couldn't emphasise enough how much of a community we have down here in St Helens between our local members, our visitors, and the residents who are on site. It's tremendous to see in the clubhouse the social life that's part of this resort. And I've tried over the last 2 or 3 years, and especially in the last year, to emphasise that we're not a closed shop down here for just golfers. This facility is very, very much available to the public, and we'd be delighted to see more and more of them.
Yeah, I suppose, lots of people would have automatically assumed that, in a golf course and a golf clubhouse, that you'd only like to see the members coming in and out. Why do you think that has become synonymous with the sport?
Golf for years and years and years. And let me say, golf as regards Ireland internationally at the moment has a huge profile through guys like McIlroy and Harrington and the boys. So it's an easy sell internationally, actually, to sell golf at the moment because of these guys. But most golf clubs, were closed shops to members only, and you didn't feel like you were entering into a public space when you went into a golf course. We have a full 7-day licence here. We are a resort rather than just a golf venue. So we've tried to make sure that everybody, as happened today when 4 English people arrived here, believe it or not, in rain, hail and snow, to make them feel welcome when they get here and feel like that they are not intruding on our members.
Okay, so from that perspective, it sounds like you're far more interested in developing the business from an international perspective because of the fact that you have falling green fees and falling membership fees. Would I be right by saying that?
Yeah, we're trying to fill that gap, definitely, with the international golfer. Things in Ireland are very, very tough at the moment, and that's right across the board, and we see it not just with the high-profile businessman that has a house here and is a member of the golf course, not just him, but with the ordinary people in the area who are struggling to keep their families going in all the necessary things. But so we've looked to the UK, and we have genuinely become export-driven in terms of getting income from the UK market, and it's tremendous to say that this time last year as against this time at the moment, we are almost 50% up in bookings. Most of that coming from the UK.
And tell me what your strategy has been in relation to achieving that.
I've been ploughing that furrow for over 20 years over there, and St Helens is well known, and I'm delighted to say well respected as well. We have a good brand in the UK market. More importantly, we joined an organisation called Club Choice Ireland this year, and with several other hotels and golf courses, we've formed an alliance, a group, to focus on developing a new market from the UK.
And what has Fáilte Ireland done to support you in that initiative?
They've been very proactive. I suppose I had a little bit of the inside track in that I was a member of the Golf Forum under Dan Flinter in the last 3 years, where we spent time trying to develop the golf industry and particularly the golf tourism side of it. They have provided not just support in the form of all of the technological and personnel that they have, but they've also put their hands in their pockets. And with Fáilte Ireland and Tourism Ireland, we have been able to put together this group. We've launched it here during the Wexford Festival with Minister Varadkar, and we are launching it, as it happens, in the UK next week, where there is a big consumer launch and people from Ireland, people from the UK, and a large number of journalists are coming together to make our pitch.
Larry, you recently featured on RT's At Your Service. How did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, a bit of a surprise to me it was too, I can tell you. My son Tiernan, in fact, negotiated that deal and rang me up one day and said, "Dad, you're going to be on At Your Service." And I said, what? And he said, look, he said, don't be a bit worried, don't be afraid, go for it. These guys have lots of advice, they're around a long time, and maybe we'll learn something from it.
What did you learn from the experience?
Learned quite a lot. People probably don't realise that 9 months of actual work went into that half-hour programme. So they were here from early March right up until when the programme was shown a couple of weeks ago. And all of the process led us to examine ourselves, led us to have a good look at where we are and trying to position ourselves for what we might be in 3, 5 or 10 years' time, please God, being around then to experience it. But that inward looking caused us to take a whole review of restructuring in the place. And the Brennans really confirmed it. They confirmed that, what we were going to do was right. And they had some great ideas. We've implemented probably 80% of them at this stage. Their reaction to the programme was very good. They were very happy with it. So we'll see from here where it goes.
And after the programme, tell me about some of the feedback you received.
The thing that shocked me, I think, most about it was the power of television. On the Saturday before the programme, we had 175 hits on our website. On the Sunday night to the Monday morning, we had 10,600 hits on our website. Now, the phones have been ringing, the emails have been coming in, and we're now turning those inquiries into real business, which is what we should be doing, of course.
Tell me about some of the restructuring that you've done at St Helens, because there's lots of different elements that make up St Helens, from your holiday cottages to your pro golf shop to your bar and restaurant to the golf course and to your outdoor activity centre. So in respect of those areas, what have you done to restructure the business?
I think being fair and being honest about it, one of the insights from the Brennan brothers and from other consultants that we got involved over the last year is that Larry Byrne had his fingers in too many pies, and that he should step back and let other people who were experts in those particular areas take over and run those, and he would stick to what he should be good at after 20 years. So with that in view, we began to look at bar food as a separate enterprise run in its own right, and we've leased that, not franchised it. We looked at the admin and the pro shop and what was going on there, and we've done exactly the same. We've put 2 people in there who know, Glenn, our professional, who know exactly what the golf business is about in terms of administration and play. We've also taken the activity centre and we have isolated that into its own dedicated business, and will be run by dedicated qualified professional instructors as and from when we open again mid-March or beginning of April. And we've done the same with our accommodation. We've taken the accommodation out of the general St Helens pot, as it were, and we've put that into another dedicated company called Beachside Properties, so that there are people now running these and organising the results of the inquiries and so forth that come in for these in their own right.
So what's that going to free you up to do?
It's freeing me up to market and to sell, to promote and to obviously manage. And I think that's one of the strengths I have is to sell and talk and get people here. And, you know, it's necessary that we increase the footfall in St Helens. And if we get the footfall here, we know that the product and the quality of the product is good enough to bring them back.
So does that mean you're going to be spending most of your time in the UK?
Yeah, and indeed around Ireland. We're going to try and win back that business that we've lost in the Irish market as well. But definitely, yes, I'm going to be spending probably, 200-300% more time in the UK.
Larry, so what I'm really getting from you there this morning is that your confidence level in relation to membership fees and green fees is not great. That really you think that the market isn't going to pick back up in those particular areas. So the light at the end of the tunnel for the golf market is certainly in tourism.
You have it spot on, Karl. I don't see at all subs, for instance, rising. In fact, we've reduced our subs considerably in St Helens this year to try and maintain the membership that we have, because membership is more about retention now than it is about expansion. And the same applies to our green fees. We are not going to reduce our green fees down to the level that some places are doing. And I know that, there is a huge impact from the NAMA courses and what's happening in that regard, and people feel very cornered when they're in that situation. But no, we're going to sustain our fees at a level that we can only hope will sustain the place. And if we don't keep our membership at a level, keep our green fees, incoming green fees at a level, we won't survive. So the only answer is for the future to build on the golf tourism that's out there. And if that golf tourism is to be found in the UK or France or Germany, that's where we're going to find it.
That leads me on to the gateway to Europe, which is Rosslare Port. All of your potential clients will be travelling in and out of the ferry port in Rosslare. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a very positive person. I look at the glass half full all the time. Unfortunately, I am very annoyed with the local facility, which is the gateway to Ireland from Europe. I would like to see an atmosphere down there of welcome. I would like to see an atmosphere of presentation that's, up to the standard that we would like in our businesses. I would like to see a more proactive management where, people would be asked what do they think, and if they did have an idea, that it might be taken on board. I think that the port is in a terrible condition, and I would worry very, very much for its future unless, and I've said this publicly before, my only thought for that port is privatisation.
Do you think it's the likelihood once Leo Varadkar's report comes out in June that will be the case?
I'd like to think so, but I'd be afraid it could be a muddle. I think that it could be an Irish solution to an Irish problem where there'll be a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of something else, and that would worry me.
Well, Larry, it's been a very insightful interview. Many thanks for coming in this morning, and I wish you continued success with St Helens Bay Golf Resort.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.